The UN's most senior official overseeing aid and reconstruction in Gaza has said the world is failing innocent civilians there after nearly a year of war. Sigrid Kaag has been addressing the UN Security Council, and she described her assessment of the on-the-ground situation in Gaza as sombre and dark.
I can tell you, every day that passes, life in Gaza is unlivable. The risks are high. Disease is continuously at risk of outbreak. Children are not in school. People are living in tents. This is not the Gaza of before the 7th of October. It is hell on earth, so every day that passes impacts people's lives.
Well, let's speak to Jorge Moreira da Silva, the Executive Director of UNOPS. That's the UN Agency for Projects and Services. He's also the Undersecretary General of the United Nations and was at that session that we played a bit of just now at the United Nations today. Thanks very much for joining us here on BBC News. A really stark assessment there from your colleague Sigrid, describing Gaza as hell on earth. We've been covering the situation on the BBC for close to a year. We speak to aid agencies, we speak to people on the ground. What do you think needs to change beyond, of course, calls from many organisations for a ceasefire?
Thank you for inviting me. I went with Sigrid. We both went to the Security Council today and debriefed the Council on the situation in Gaza. And we were very clear about what is really needed. We need a ceasefire. We need humanitarian law to be fully respected. We need unimpeded access to aid to those most in need. But now we're also able to show that what we have been asked to do, we delivered. As you may recall, some months ago, the Security Council decided to call for the creation of a mechanism to facilitate the operationalization of aid into Gaza, to overcome the bottlenecks, the delays, the redundancies, the multiple inspections, and UNOPS, with the senior coordinator for humanitarian aid and reconstruction in Gaza, we work together finding a solution that has delivered results. Today at the Security Council, I've been able to brief members on the fact that through this mechanism, with one-stop shop database to approve all aid, and also with the monitors on the ground to speed up delivery, we were able to have all the crossings and all the corridors to Gaza being operating in a smoother and swiftly manner. But at the same time, it's very clear that this is not about logistics. We may fix everything outside Gaza to have less transloading, less inspections, smoother operations, better coordination, more predictability.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if things inside Gaza doesn't improve, there is no possibility to reach those most in need.
Some people watching this might say, well, that's all very well intended, the goal to try and have a mechanism to try and get more help and aid into Gaza. But the very fact of the matter is that that's not happening, and it's politics only, really, that can change that.
Yes, it's political will. It's precisely the topic.
Do you really believe that you and Sigrid can change the mood at the UN when it hasn't changed for months on end?
At least we removed other excuses or pretexts, because logistics were presented very often as an issue. Now there is no excuse. The mechanism is functioning in a well manner. So now it's very clear that the problem is inside Gaza. And it's not just about deconflicting. It's also about these incidents that are not accidents, are incidents, with UN convoys being targeted, with no capacity to operate in safe conditions, with humanitarians that have lost their lives, including a colleague of mine from my agency, UNOPS. So this is the moment where the political will needs to prevail. It's the moment where it's fundamental to ensure that we put in place our best political and diplomatic capacities to overcome this situation.
And George, I wanted to ask you about this because Sigrid actually, on her visit to Israel, did meet senior Israeli officials, including the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. What did she say about that conversation? And does she believe that anything may have changed as a consequence of that chat?
Sigrid has managed to engage at the political level with all parties in the region, and this has been an important element to ensure that we would have always the chance to engage and to better understand each other's position. Now we have more data to reveal that issues need to be fixed again through political will. You remember I came to BBC on other occasions that we were not knowing exactly the rationale for rejection of materials for dual use. Now you go to our database and you know exactly how much consignments have been approved, how many have been requested, how many have been rejected, and why. For instance, from the rejected consignments, out of the 37 consignments that have been rejected, 31 was just for the fact that it was through UNRWA. So the fact that UNRWA is a consignor or a consignee is a reason to stop this. So now everyone is more accountable, so you can ask the questions with the data and with the facts.
Okay, thank you very much for explaining some of the work that you're doing. That's Jorge Moreira da Silva, the Executive Director of UN Ops, the UN Agency for Projects and Services, speaking to me from the United Nations in New York.